As you probably know, Barcelona sit fourth in La Liga. They're 7 points off the top. They are barely first in their Champions League group, even on points with Porto. And with the recent losses to Girona and Antwerp, a lot of people are asking what is going on with Barcelona recently. After some promising performances early in the season, the team has been on a serious decline, and I know why. I can break it up into the attack and the defense because these are huge. There are huge differences compared to last season. Let's begin with the defense because that's what wins a team titles. Barcelona's defense is what won them the La Liga title last year. We couldn't rely on scoring multiple goals in the latter half of the season because we were wasteful. However, we were extremely secure in defense. Conceding 20 goals in a La Liga season is impressive, and it was almost a record. We've been nowhere near those levels this season, however, and the biggest reason is Sergio Busquets, the presence of a top quality CDM. Even a past his prime Busquets was still able to provide so much security in the middle of the park. What he lacked in legs, he made up for in ball winning abilities, understanding of the game, his game IQ, and his distribution. He understood Xavi's positional play system perfectly, and we took him for granted. He decided to leave Europe to go to Inter Miami last summer, but we didn't replace him well enough. We brought in Oriol Romeo from Girona for around 4 million euros, and on paper it wasn't a bad signing because he was experienced in the league, La Liga, in a positional play system, and he obviously lived in the city already. He showed great promise in the first few games he played, putting in masterclasses, especially against Real Madrid in preseason. However, for one reason or another, he has dropped off significantly. He directly costed us the first two goals that we conceded against Royal Antwerp in the Champions League, and with his absence from the squad, we have we have had to get a bit creative and play Gundogan in a double pivot with Frankie De Jong. All looks fine when we were in possession of the ball. However, neither of them are natural ball winners, and as a result, we look unstable out of possession. Last but not least, I just wanted to mention that a key player in our defense, being Jules Koundé, hasn't been as rock solid as he was last season. He has been mistake prone, especially at center back, and I hope that he recovers his form because at his best, he is a phenomenal player. Now, moving on to the attack, the largest contributing factors have been players underperforming their XGs. They've been shooting when they should be passing, and vice versa. One of the two players I have to criticize most is Lewandowski. He is 35 years old, and safe to say he's a shadow of his former self. He no longer offers you a run in behind the defense because any sweeper keeper or center back is going to beat him to the ball. He doesn't have the physicality to hold the ball up in a league like La Liga when you're always under pressure and being pressed. He doesn't seem to have the creativity in his link up play. Frequently, when we pass the ball to him in a moment of transition, the entire attack dies at his feet because he's just too slow or he doesn't make the right pass. Any decently informed individual should have known that even an accomplished striker like Lewandowski starts to drop off as they age. It happens to everyone except probably Messi and Ronaldo. It's our fault for not having a quality backup for him to give him competition. Fran Torres has been the one to fill that role, even though he is mainly a winger slash inside forward. This problem will hopefully be resolved with the imminent arrival of Vitor Roque this January. No longer will we be short of options to bench Lewandowski, and hopefully him and also Marguyu or Gui, however you're supposed to pronounce it, can give him a lot of competition. Hopefully they Roque specifically can hit the ground running, as there's a lot of hype and some good expectations around him. The second player I have to criticize is Rafinha. He gets a lot of hate in the media and from the fans, and I understand it, but I don't really relate with it. I think it's partly Rafinha's fault, but also everyone else's fault. I say that because when we signed him, a lot of people thought, oh, we just signed the next Neymar. No, he's not Neymar. He's not at all that profile. He's not going to dribble through the team and score. He's a more of a playmaker, a crosser, a long range striker, an off the ball attacker. And if you tell him to try and play the role Dembele did when he was here last season, it won't work because Dembele thrived 1v1 and especially in transition, at running into space. And Rafinha struggles with that. He obviously is not built for that. His dribbling can be great, like we saw from him in his time in the Premier League at Leeds United, but I don't think he's quite settled into our system. And maybe it's also a confidence issue that he needs to express himself more. He had a good game, especially a first half against Atletico Madrid. And why? Because he was bold and direct. He wasn't doubting himself as much, and that's what it looked like to me. I just think that we need to see more of that from him. And he will obviously, with more time in this team to gel with these players, the same starting 11, he can only improve. And I mentioned Ferran Torres earlier, and I'd like to speak about him. We're going to go over every single attacker. And I've really appreciated him this season because I saw a stat that Ferran is our only attacker to outperform their XG. I think he deserves a lot more appreciation. And speaking of appreciation, I want to talk about Lamine Yamal next because although he's literally just 17 years old, he's not even a young adult yet. He's just a teenager. He is already an important part of the squad, and I'm excited to see him grow because he has tons of talent. But of course, he's inexperienced. And Jean Felix has been a tad bit inconsistent, but you have to give him credit where it's due. He is constantly putting in the effort. He's always putting in the tackle, tracking back, and even when our front line looks a bit dull, he's always trying to make something happen, and I really applaud him for that. Lastly, I know Balde is a left back, but he's used very offensively in our system, so I wanted to talk about him really quickly, and I feel he's been extremely ineffective this season in attack. He's a good defender with his pace, but he's been really dull this season. Or last season, he had a lot of spark when he was running with the ball. I hope that he finds his form again because he contributes a lot to this team. I've been thinking about this for a couple days for this topic, and I thought that others would be thinking about it too. And I wanted to offer my take. But that is all from me for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, it would help out a ton if you could drop a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and have a great rest of your day. I will catch you in the next one.